Why are you sitting down for 8 hours and then bitching your knees hurt and your back hurts? What are you bitching about? You did it. You did it to yourself. And now it becomes someone else's fault. Some resident medical student who's got to do an orthopedic surgery on you for practice. Is that how you envisioned your life? Probably not. Good morning. So today is an arm day. I trained some legs yesterday, but I had so many conversations that kind of sidetracked me that I actually didn't have enough time to film the rest of my workout. So here we are, Tuesday, the next day, and we're hitting some arms. So I just finished up with some abs. So what I started off with was doing some just light body weight crunches off a bench. I did some leg raise off a bench. I did the exercise where I actually grabbed the plate and the dumbbell between my feet, doing a full body weighted crunch. And then I did some rotational work on the cable, just some rotary movement to kind of open up my spine. And then I just finished up with some cable crunches. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the core today. And now I'm going to hit some arms. So I just finished one of my audiobooks this morning, and now I'm in search for another one. So if you guys have any audiobook recommendations, go ahead and leave them down below. I like psychology, theology, marketing, business, anything that can enhance the dimensionality of your thinking, right? I don't like something that's just kind of dry and factual. I'm not really looking for like fiction. I like something that can help expand my profile of information for coaching settings, and also just like for imagination. You know, I like history also. So if you guys have any recommendations, go ahead and leave them down below. So we're gonna hit this workout today. I'm gonna start off with a little bit of tricep activation, do some light cable work, and then we'll go into doing some heavy bicep work today. So follow along, keep up, and then we gotta hit the treadmill a little bit later today, because I did take the last couple days off of cardio, but we're gonna add that back in today. My legs are fucking cooked, but we're gonna get it nevertheless, so let's get after it. We're gonna start off with a little bit of rope push downs here. I don't like to use the brand new ropes, but this is the one that's closest to me, so I don't feel like traveling for it. Because the new ropes have it's like film on it. It's almost like kind of glossy. I like the worn down ones. I feel like I can grip it better. But it is what it is. I'm not going to go too heavy with this anyway. Just doing a little warm up, putting some blood in the triceps, lubing up the elbows. We'll get to it. All right, so just finished up with that, warming up the arms there. It's crazy how a couple sets will make you come to life. I feel like I've already expanded 1.5 times. All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of bicep curl action. I don't normally do straight bars in my cables, but I'm gonna toss that in today just as a little warm up. Get the body in motion. So let me pull this over this way a little bit. Hit me some of these curls. You know, the benefit that you have to doing a straight bar curl is it forces you into supination, which means it forces the hand all the way open, which can cause issues with your wrists if you're not careful. So make sure you're going light with it. But when you're doing any type of curling motion, you always want to prioritize stress on the pinky side of the hand. That is what's going to give you the most bicep engagement. So staying pretty light here, taking it nice and slow, keep my chest high, not trying to rock. I want to keep my shoulders pinned back the entire time. You don't want to come forward like this. Keep them pinned back, chest up high, and just come through with the hands. Nice and easy. So I'll do a few sets here, and then we'll jump around to some free weight movements just to warm everything up, and we'll see where the day takes us. Okay, so I just finished up doing some single arm preacher curls, and then grabbing a kettlebell and doing a single arm overhead extension. And arm day is so fucking boring. I don't know why people like training it so much. I mean, it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything. I don't know. It's not my style. I mean, everybody wants big arms, but It's like if I had to sacrifice one day of the week, it'd probably be an arm day. All right, all finished up here, friends, and look who is hanging out. The little one. Look at the size difference. Turn to the side real quick. Go ahead.
Monkey bands? Or
What, for the butt shit?
no, like for pull-ups
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
over there.
They're in the Alpha Studio. Yeah. All right, so just finished up doing some arms here. And yeah, that's about it. So we're gonna do some cardio now and tie in the rest of the workout. I still have about 3-ish hours. What day is it, Tuesday? 3-ish hours before my first client. So I got plenty of time to hang out, get some fucking admin done. I've been putting that off because God knows nobody likes to do that shit, right? So I gotta do some catching up to do. I'm gonna have my first meal. Or actually, it'll be my first meal's in the morning, second meal shake, third meal is another meal. So I gotta eat some food. I have my coffee with me today, and then we're gonna get the day started. So let me go jump on the treadmill real quick, and then we will chat. But let me go say bye to the little one first. Slightly different angle here today. Not by the window. A little congested over there, so I'm going to bring it over here. Jumping up to the 3 speed. And I hit about 5 incline. So again, today, a little lackadaisical day. Arm days, mixed relationship. I know some people like them because it's, let me, hang on. That is not centered. Okay, there we go. All right. I don't know, I'm feeling different about them. You know, some people enjoy them. Some people just like to spend 3 hours busting out some curls. That is not me. I'd rather spend my days doing some legs. Anyway, the arm day's finished. You know, there's something in your body called fascia. And fascia, I want you to think about it like saran wrap around the muscles. And it actually restricts your body's ability to grow because it squeezes the muscles really tightly. And what I've noticed is mine, specifically around my elbows, like especially through here, is very tight. And whenever I get a pump, it almost feels like very, very mild compartment syndrome. Like it's just squeezing the fuck out of my muscles. And it doesn't feel like a traditional pump. It feels like very restrictive, almost like a tightness. And maybe that's part of the reason why I don't like training them. Or maybe those two feed into each other. Who knows? Maybe the fact I don't like training them creates that condition in my body. Who knows, right? Anyway, you know, I took on a new client the other day. He's going to be a 6 a.m.er, which means I'm either going to have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning or I'm going to have to work out later in the day. And I'm pushing more towards the 2 o'clock in the morning because I don't know if I could work out in the afternoons. It's not really my style. I'd rather just get here at the ass crack of dawn right at 4 a.m. So I'd wake up at 2, eat my first meal, I'd get ready for the day, and then I would head out the door around like 3 o'clock, maybe a little bit after, and then get to the gym around 4 to hit my lift because that's right when it opens. So gonna have to figure that out, make some adjustments to the schedule. But, you know, there's ways to maneuver everything if you care enough about it, right? A little bit of self-prioritization. And I think the only way that can take place is if you have a strong sense of internal authority. And some people don't. It's something you got to craft over time. You know, it's kind of like the matrix of external accountability becoming internal accountability, like you crafting that internal authority figure that instead of convincing you out of things and self-negotiating, instead convinces you to do things. And if you don't deal with enough hardship in your life, then you'll never craft that. Now, let me explain. I think a large part of the process of most kids growing up is they're told what to think and they're told what to do. Therefore, they never really craft their own sense of internal authority. It's always someone else's voice. It's always someone else's demands. It's always someone else's trains of thought. And that's what creates these limiting belief systems sometimes because it conflicts with maybe your natural way of thinking or your natural inclinations or interests. So those two things start to collide at some point because you develop a standard for living, which may be intrinsically related to who you are, right? Maybe it has partially a little bit to do with growing up. But then you have this expectation, right? And when your expectations don't match the standard, there's a conflict, right? And what I mean is, if you have a standard of living that you haven't yet obtained, and you set the expectation that it needs to take place over a very small period of time, there's a conflict there, right? Those two things don't complement one another. Instead, your expectation should be on the day-to-day, getting the things done that you need to get done, so you can reach that standard that you're trying to achieve, right? Some people, they have a conflict with that. Instead, they think, my standards is high, right? And I'm irrational with the expectation that it takes to get there, right? Like, I want to be rich overnight, or, I want to be famous overnight, or I want to build a six-pack overnight, right? Maybe not overnight, maybe in a couple of weeks, right? But still, that expectation conflicts with that standard. And as long as those two things don't align, you're going to forever be in conflict with yourself, in which crafting a sense of internal authority can help correct, right? It's just saying, hey, listen, you need to learn to calm the fuck down. You need to learn to stay focused on the day-to-day tasks. And you need to keep moving forward even on the days that you don't feel like it. You're not going to get anywhere in life so long as you take your feelings too heavily into consideration when it comes to pursuing your goals. And what I mean by that is I don't say ignore them. I don't say ignore your feelings. Just like recognize them, acknowledge them. But at the same time, is that feeling becoming too much of an obstruction for you to get the things done that you need to get done, especially when it doesn't really impede your ability to do anything at all, right? If you wake up today and you think you're having a bad day because you're a little upset, that doesn't impair your ability to go to the gym, right? You could sure as shit still get out the door. But sometimes people ruminate on that thought because their internal critic and the thing that's judging them internally inside their head is stronger than their internal authority figure, or we'll say your internal cheerleader, right? So those two things collide. So you need to craft a strong sense of that. And I think the only way you can do that is, number one, start to accept full responsibility of everything in your life, right? And also set a long-term vision. And then don't negotiate with what it takes to get there, but also set a realistic timeline, change your relationship to time. And if you can't do those things, then you're probably never going to craft that internal sense of authority. It's probably going to forever be someone else's voice inside your head. Maybe it was an overbearing parent or grandparent. Or maybe it's the critic surfacing that has convinced you they're the authority, which happens sometimes in the sense of limiting beliefs and traumas. And you start to associate all the thoughts you have with ones of judgment and skepticism instead of optimism and forward momentum. You got to cut that shit out. That's not going to serve you. What is going to serve you is aggressively pursuing your goals, because nobody else is going to do that shit for you. So you have to find that internal authority figure. You need to craft it over time. And it needs to be a voice of reason, objectivity, and aggressive optimism. And aggressive optimism, I say, not traditional fluffy optimism, right? Which is like, oh, it's a beautiful day outside, No, more like this. Is if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh man, I'm too tired to go to the gym today. It's like the internal authority that's aggressively optimistic is going to say, bitch, the fuck are you complaining about? You got two legs. There's a little kid sitting in a hospital right now with fucking cancer that can't leave, and he wants to go play outside. And your ass is bitching you got to get up early for the gym. The fuck are you complaining about? It's crazy. There's like all these quotes, right? There's one by Hippocrates, right? Great quote. It says, people want medicine until it shows up in the form of discipline, right? That one kind of stings a little bit for some of you, I'm sure. You want to be fixed, but you don't want to do what it takes to fix you, right? You want a cure-all, a quick solution, because your expectations conflict with your standards. You want to be healthy, but you want it so quick. But you know what? It wasn't quick getting you out of shape. It was a slow process. Your body was trying to fight its way to a healthy condition constantly to keep you alive. Even though you weren't feeding it properly, you weren't sleeping well. It was fighting for survival, and you didn't partner with it. And now you're upset that it's failing. What do you think would happen if you had a business and people worked for you and you underpaid them and overworked them and you treated them like shit, and every time they had something to say, you disregarded it, you didn't pay attention to it? All the signals and signs were there, but you kept pushing them away because they weren't important to you. What do you think is going to happen over a period of time? That employee's going to quit. Your body is going to quit after a certain period of time, my friend. So you better make sure you're staying on top of that and having some sort of investment mentality around your health. There will be no other way. There will be no other way. So, our best piece of advice to you is craft an internal sense of authority. And if you don't yet have one, then you find a mentor. And you let that person help you craft that internal authority figure, the internal cheerleader, the thing that'll drive you on the days where you don't feel like doing anything. Because your body will be compliant with you as long as you learn to work with it instead of against it. However, you've been forcing it to do things for so long that it's choosing to now ignore you. Why don't you do that with a kid? Or like I said, an employee. Keep being arrogant, not listening. Keep imposing your own ideologies and beliefs and forcing them to do more than their capacity allows without taking them into consideration. And over time, they're going to say, hey buddy, I'm done. You wonder why you have low energy levels, you've gained body fat, your body's in pain, and now you want it to go away. Well, it's like, well, what the hell were you doing this whole time? You weren't doing anything to fix it. In fact, you were contributing to the problem, adding kindling to the fire. However, if you have that internal authority figure that was saying, hey, bitch boy, what the fuck are you doing right now? Why are you sitting down for 8 hours and then bitching your knees hurt and your back hurts? What are you bitching about? You did it. You did it to yourself. And now it becomes someone else's fault? Some resident medical student who's got to do an orthopedic surgery on you for practice? Is that how you envisioned your life? Probably not. You got some licensed butcher going into your body, cutting you up and sewing you back together just because you made bad choices. And you think that's going to fix you. My friend, most of them don't do that shit because they want to fix you. They do it for their own egotistical reasons. You know? It's sad to say this, but... And I know this may seem like a pessimistic thought, but it's actually a liberating thought. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares about you. Especially when you don't care about yourself. How can someone respect your time if you don't respect your own? And the only way you can respect your own time is if you craft that internal authority figure that says, listen, my time's more valuable than this shit. What the fuck? Why am I below average in my health? Why am I below average energy levels? Why am I below average aesthetically? Like, why do when I go to the beach, I look like an average Joe? Or maybe even out of shape. Why is it normalized to be fat? Why does a dad bod have to do with titties and a big belly? The fuck is that okay? Just average. It's complacency, mediocrity. You've been conditioned to believe that being weak and docile and having low energy levels is just part of the program. And it's not. You know, back in the day, hunter-gatherer days, if you were fat and lazy, friend, they would leave you behind. They would leave you behind. The character of a man was determined by the strength of not just his character, but his physical body. Because if you can't defend for yourself, if you can't even take care of yourself, what makes you think you could take care of a business, a family? You can't. You can't take care of anything you can't take care of yourself. And if you want to fix that, you need to have an internal authority figure that says, hey, yo, what the fuck are we doing, son? We're slipping up. We're dropping the ball. We need to fix that. because nobody's coming to save me except myself. And you may think the barrier to entry is so large, so you push it off because it seems complicated. Go for a fucking walk. Start small. Just drive to the gym. Sit in a parking lot. Who the hell cares? Or if you're already going to the gym, fucking push yourself a little bit. You know, maybe you just keep walking on the treadmill. Well, get off the treadmill. Go use some machines. And if you're using the same machines over and over again, try something else. Explore a little bit. You got to grow. If you want to make changes in yourself, then you got to want to make changes in yourself. And change your habits, change your behaviors, change your ways of thinking. Change the way that you respond. Take action. You can't keep doing the same shit and expect something different to come out of it, right? There has to be some level of progressiveness to what you're doing. And it has to be aligned with your long-term goals. If you want a six-pack and you're fucking sitting on your ass all day, you're eating chips, drinking pop, you know, you leave your work all day long, sitting down, being stressed, and then you go home and you screen suck and you sit on your couch or in your bed looking at your phone or on your laptop or looking at your TV. What is that costing you? You know? What happens if you showed up to your business and you did nothing all day? You just sat there, didn't answer the phone, didn't answer your clients, didn't prospect, didn't try to make sales, didn't try to improve the quality of your product, did nothing. What do you think would happen? It'd fall apart, right? I mean, you bankrupt the business. What do you think's happening to your health, friend? You're bankrupting your health. And that shit's pretty fucking scary. Let me tell you one thing. Is people have many dreams until they become sick. And then they only have one. And that's to be healthy. Poor health is scary. Because it's your experience entirely and no one else's. I mean, your family can watch what you go through, but they don't experience it like you do. So if you're not taking it seriously, and if you're setting yourself up for a system of failure with your health, you're going to experience a life of fear and stress and boredom, anxiety. And you're going to wonder why, depression. And you're going to wonder why all these things are happening to you. My life doesn't seem right. It's like, no shit, doesn't seem right. You walk into a business and it could have the best product, but if all the employees suck and they're just demoralized, they don't want to be there, you pick up on that energy pretty quickly. What if all the living organs and cells in your body were like those workers and they just didn't want to be part of this environment anymore? Because who the hell wants to be part of this sick environment? Eating poor foods, getting shitty sleep, constantly stressed out of my mind, dehydrated, inactive. Does that sound like a great place to be? Probably not. And if you just take that for a second and personify all that into a business outside of yourself, you can start to see and understand why it's so important to invest into your health, to take care of yourself. Because if you don't, you're going downhill fast. You're not only going to hit the red, you're going through the floor. You're going bankrupt. And I seen Jim Rohn the other day talking to everybody in one of his little seminars, and he goes, you know, back in the day, you used to hit zero, and that was it. You were done. He goes, now today you can go well past zero. Well past zero. Imagine that. Imagine going well past zero with your health, right? Going in the hole. You're not even at baseline anymore, right? You're fucking unhealthy. You're sick, right? And it's really hard to get out of that hole. Let me tell you, if you're at the bottom of that hole right now, you're going to have to either claw your way up, or you're going to have to pay somebody to give you a ladder and encourage you to get out. Especially when you don't have that internal authority figure that's motivating you and pushing you and driving your willpower in a focused and channeled direction to get you out of this rut. And if you haven't crafted that system of thinking, that motivation, you know, that drive behind bettering yourself when it comes to your health and well-being, and you haven't learned to self-prioritize that, you're going to be in a world of hurt, my friend. You better find somebody that's willing to invest that time into you. And you better hope they could take you on. So a lot of people, they think They devalue coaching services. It's like, friend, you have nothing that the coach needs or wants. They have everything that you need and want. They have the skills, the resources, the know-how, the implementation, right? The systems to get you out of where you're at right now. And all you can provide them with is money. Well, guess what? If that's all you can provide them with, and you come in with a bad attitude and little effort, they're going to turn you away. Because not everybody wants to be helped, especially when you don't have any type of internal authority figure. At least a little spark of one that they can recognize and they can fan for you to develop it into a raging fire. If you don't have that, friend, you better fucking find it. Because if not, you're going to be going down a path that's really hard to get out of. And I don't want this to be, let me take that back. I was going to say I don't want this to be something that scares you, but in fact, I do. I want it to wake you up. I want you to realize nobody's coming to save you. I want you to realize that you need to self-prioritize and invest into your health and well-being. And if you don't know how to take that step, you better find somebody who can help you. You better find a mentor and a consultant that can help you. All right, friends, that is going to be it for today. So craft an internal sense of authority. At least have a little bit of a spark of one, and find somebody that will invest into you to fan that flame and to build it into a raging fire. All right, thanks for watching, friend. Go ahead and like this video down below. If you want to see more coaching content, more fitness content, more nutrition content, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And make sure that you're subscribed. That'll be it for me, and I'll see you on the next one.